All right. Good afternoon. I apologize. I'm playing around with some different things and obviously not doing it well. There we go. Okay, that's a little bit better. We are low budget. Welcome back to the weekday roundup here at the Dev Mentor Dave YouTube channel, and maybe soon to be the Dev Mentor Dave Twitch channel. I started playing around with that a little bit this afternoon, so we'll see. We'll see if we actually get anything working correctly on that. But welcome back to the weekday roundup. This is the third day of our weekday roundup. Again, if you're not familiar with what we're doing, we're just doing a short live stream every weekday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, most of the time, as long as I'm in town, as long as I'm working, I'm not on vacation or something like that, then we will jump into a quick live stream here for about 30 minutes. So we'll be done right at about 4:30 this afternoon, my time, Central United States time. And the goal here is to try to give some more consistent interaction with you, whether you're a junior developer or a seasoned developer along the way. And I do have things that I am planning on talking about. But if you have a question or you have something that you'd like to discuss here on the live stream, certainly join the chat, say hello, or as I put in the chat this afternoon, say yo. Say hello, join the chat, throw your questions in there. If you have a question, put at DevMentorDave at the beginning of it. That'll just let me know, let me be able to catch that a little bit sooner. And then, yeah, I am looking at potentially adding this to Twitch, so we'll see if I can get all that working and see if I can get it to actually stream to multiple places. So lots of fun, fun things coming potentially in the near future. But I will have at least one topic every day that I'll want to discuss. And if we get through that and there's no other questions or things, we might stop a little sooner than 4:30. But the goal is to try to get some more content out for you guys, some more help out to you guys, more opportunities to interact with me on a daily basis, and hopefully be a help to you in your journey as a developer. And it doesn't have to be a junior developer, although obviously that's the goal, is to try to interact with you all, especially who are junior developers, help you go from just learning code to launching a successful career. That's the tagline that I like and that I've used on the videos before. But that really is my goal. My goal is to help you maybe deal with some of the nuances of being a junior developer that aren't necessarily just tutorials. Now, we still have the Saturday live stream, which will be a full 2-hour live stream most of the time, and that'll be most Saturdays as well. So we're not skipping over that for this. This is just an extra thing that we're doing now to hopefully get you guys some more access to me on a regular basis, and honestly to give me some more regular interaction with you all as well. So jump in the chat, say hello, share your questions, your concerns, share your criticisms, caveats, whatever other C words you want to throw in there. And feel free to share your opinions about whatever it is we're talking about from day to day here on the weekday roundup. Again, if you have a better idea for the name out instead of weekday roundup, I do like the weekday term because it's the weekday, and that's kind of the whole point. It's at the end of the weekdays, a workday, maybe workday roundup, workday recap. I don't know. There's several ideas that have been thrown out. So throw a comment on the video and let me know if you have a different idea or if there's something that I mentioned that you like better than weekday roundup. Although I think workday recap is kind of growing on me at the moment. So anyway, share with me what you think would be a good title for this in case we decide that we want to change it up. Maybe hopefully make it a little bit easier to understand what it is we're doing. But the content from this may come from you guys. It may come from my day and my work day, the things that have happened in my work day. It may come from something that I've seen on LinkedIn. Lots of different possibilities of where content will come from. But of course, your content, your questions is always the most important during this time. So certainly feel free to jump in the chat or just leave me a comment on a previous video or on this video later on if you're watching it later, and that way I can take a look at those comments and maybe address those in the next the next live stream the next day. So feel free to take advantage of any of those different things. Yo, all right. I'm just gonna say, unless you tell me what your name is, I'll just try to pick part of your username to say hi. So welcome. We'll call it H2 Dab. So I'll just call you Dab. How's that? Welcome. I don't know that that doesn't look familiar. So is this your first time jumping on a live stream, Dab? Let me know. And welcome. And let me know where you're watching from too, because I don't recognize the username. So welcome. All right, let's dive into the title that I gave this one, which was what was it? Snowball, the Snowball Principle. And this is not necessarily anything new to me. In fact, probably most of the things I say are not new to me. They're usually things that I've picked up along the way from many different resources. But this concept I first heard really from Financial Peace University, from the Dave Ramsey financial advisor. And it's kind of based off of his concept of the snowball, what he calls the debt snowball. And I've just found this to actually be very helpful for me, especially as you get further along in your career. If you're working with a company that, especially as something like the one that I work for, which is an agency, a lot of times you'll have lots of different projects that you're working on, and it can sometimes be hard to prioritize what should be the next thing that you should do. Now, hopefully you have somebody like a manager or a lead developer, somebody like that who's giving you those priorities and telling you what you should work on next. In fact, if you are a junior developer, more than likely you have somebody that's actually giving you, these are the things that you should do. This is the order that you should do them in. And so you probably aren't going to deal with this quite as much right away as a junior developer. But as you grow in your skill, as you grow in their trust of you, if there are multiple projects and things, or even just multiple tickets for the same project that are given to you, sometimes it can be hard to know what to prioritize if they haven't given you a specific priority. And if we're not careful, not knowing what that priority is, not knowing which thing to work on, can actually keep us from doing anything. You know, you've got the analysis paralysis problem where you look at those things, you don't know what to do, and so your mind kind of loses focus for a bit. And maybe you go over and you turn something on YouTube, or you come listen to one of my videos. No. Or you maybe just turn on some music, or maybe you get up and you go get something to eat, or you know, all these different things that we kind of do to break up our day. These things that we try to give ourselves H2 to B. All right. Or Howard. I probably won't remember Howard. All right. But that's cool. Welcome. Good to see you. Let me know where you're watching from, Howard. Phoenix. Nice. All right. So USA. It's kind of funny. I have a lot of people who jump on here from outside the U.S., which, you know, hey, that works for me. But welcome. Good to see you. So anyway, this idea of a debt snowball, or kind of concept from Dave Ramsey, really helped me when it came to dealing with all the different things that I have to do, not just as a developer, but now as a director of over multiple projects, over multiple developers. This really helps me when I don't know what I should be working on next, to not get stuck in the rut of getting distracted by something that is not going to help me be productive. So the goal of this is to help you be productive even when you don't know what that next thing is. And the basic principle, if you haven't figured it out yet, if you don't know like the Dave Ramsey debt snowball principles, the big point of this is to pick the smallest thing that you can get done the quickest, right? So in the debt scenario, the concept is worry less about the amount that you're being charged in interest. You know, that would be for a lot of us that are technical, we would think let's get rid of the highest interest ones first, right? But most people need a quick win, and so the goal is to give you a quick win to kind of build some momentum, to give you a little bit of clarity of where you're actually at financially. And so the goal, the process is to take the smallest debt and knock that out as quickly as you can, because that builds that momentum. And the same thing is true if you've got lots of different tasks as a developer. Even if you just got 3 different tasks, one of the things you can do with those is try to figure out which one's going to be the smallest. Now, a lot of companies will use some sort of sizing technique, like t-shirt sizing or Fibonacci sequence, or some other sort of planning poker process. Say that 3 times fast. That will help you have some idea of what the size of the ticket is, but you might have to figure that out yourself. So read through the tickets, read through the jobs that you need to do, and see which one you think is probably going to give you the least amount of trouble. It's probably going to be the easiest for you to do, and rank them in order, even if that means you have to sit here and write it down on paper. It's funny. I write a lot of stuff down, and I've gone through different iterations in my life of trying to use digital, whether that's digital with like an iPad or just taking notes, digitally. And I keep coming back to the pen and paper for some reason. I don't know why. It just seems to be the best option whenever I want to write quick notes. Maybe it helps me remember better. They say psychologically you remember things that you write down better, or things that you speak, you remember those better too. So, but anyway, so write down, the priority list based on how long you think it's going to take you. Again, if you've got somebody giving you priorities, even better. But if you don't have someone giving you priorities, you've got lots of different options of things that you can work on. Go for the smaller things first, because again, what that's going to do, it's going to allow you to get something done quickly. Maybe that's a little bit of research. Maybe that's changing some text in part of the code base, right? All you need to do is go change an address on a form. That's very simple. But what it does psychologically is it helps you build momentum. It helps you feel like you've accomplished something. Anytime that you can feel like you've accomplished something, that gives you a dopamine hit, right? Makes you happy that you've got something, you've been successful at something for the day. That's why the military talks about how you should get up and make your bed every day. It's one of the things they do. Make your bed every day, because what you've done is you've accomplished something simple. And I don't do that at all. I don't remember the last time I made my bed at the beginning of the day. So I need something else to make me feel successful in the morning. Maybe that's getting up and having a cup of, actually making coffee. That's my point of success for the day, is making some coffee if I'm here at home. But from a work standpoint, if you can prioritize throughout your day, kind of a snowball effect of doing a small thing and then the next biggest thing, then the next biggest thing, then as you're moving from one thing to another, 1, you have a plan, and then 2, so you don't have to think about it, right? And then 2, you're building momentum as you go, and you're seeing success after success after success. So then let's say you get 2 things done that are successful, but you hit the 3rd thing and that's taking you longer. It takes you to the end of the day and it's not quite finished. Well, now you know what you're working on the next day, or the next day you could be like, you know what? I know that task is going to be fairly large, so I'm going to do something else that's small to begin my day to get a big win before I jump back into that task. So I think the snowball doesn't necessarily have to work over multiple days. It can still work in a singular day. And if you have any work that's hanging over, unless you have to get that done first, take the same approach. Get another quick win, and figure out maybe some tasks along the way that aren't necessarily code related. They might be, maybe task number 1 is your prioritization. Hey, check that one off the list. I've got that one done. I've successfully prioritized my work for the day, and then just kind of move on. Maybe it's emails. Maybe in there you need to add some pull request reviews, where this is something I think a lot of people really miss when it comes to planning out their day, we're constantly getting on people to do PR reviews. There's always more PRs out there waiting for somebody to review them. And I think one of the problems is that we don't prioritize that in our list for the day of things that we're going to do. So a PR review isn't usually that labor intensive, right? It could be a quick win. Maybe you've got, okay, I want to do 2 PR reviews before I do anything else. So beginning of your day, you log in, pull up a pull request, and you take a look at it and provide some feedback or pass it or whatever it is that you need to do. Boom, boom, check 2 of those things off, and you've got the momentum building for the day. If you have that list, then when you get to the afternoon and you're trying to figure out what do I want to work on, I've finished the things that I needed to do at the beginning. Now I'm looking at this list, and you don't really feel like working at the end of the day. If you have some sort of process that you've been going through and you've been getting wins throughout the day, you're going to feel better about picking up the next task, even if you've only got an hour or 2 hours left of your day. You're going to roll into that so much easier mentally than if you're constantly just trying to find another ticket to do, because none of the tickets are going to look like tickets that you want to do when you've only got an hour left of your day, and most of the tickets are 2 hours long, right? So if you've built up momentum throughout the day, you're going to be much more likely to go ahead and grab a ticket, even if you know, I'm probably not going to finish this today, but you know what? I'm going to at least get started on it, so that maybe that ticket becomes a small, quick win ticket tomorrow when you finish it up at the beginning of the day. So it really comes down to the psychology of it and the motivation of it more than it comes down to knowing what is the best ticket to do. Now, again, if you are working on a specific feature, or if, sometimes things have to be done in a certain order, and if that is the case, then do those things in that certain order, obviously. But if you've got work or even just tasks as a developer in your company, or even while you're learning, prioritize easy wins when it comes to learning. Don't try to learn the hardest thing today at the beginning of your day. Try to learn something simple at the beginning of your day and build some success. Hey, I understood that concept. I'm going to move on to this concept, and think about what those priorities might be. Ask Ask ChatGPT or Claude or somebody else. I should pick a different name. Claude. Ask Claude to prioritize your learning for you based on easiest things to learn versus harder things to learn, and you can do that in a way that will help you not just learn things better, but will help you feel more successful along the way. Because at the end of the day, the snowball principle, whether it's dealing with debt or whether it's dealing with your tickets that you're assigned to, at the end of the day, the snowball principle is there to help you feel like you are getting progress moving forward. In the debt situation, we're talking about weeks or months to get through the first things oftentimes. Whereas when in the dev world, in the day-to-day tasks, this is something that we can get a quick win in a few minutes potentially. And that dopamine effect, that dopamine hit of getting something done and being successful, just keeps pushing us forward as we go throughout our day. And that's especially important for doing the job, but really when you're learning, that's a huge thing. Feeling like you're successful at the learning part is huge for keeping you motivated on those days where maybe you feel some of that imposter syndrome. Maybe you feel like you don't really deserve to be a developer. A lot of times it's because you haven't seen any wins recently. You haven't felt like you've accomplished anything recently, and you're kind of spinning your wheels just watching random tutorials and things like that. Plan out your learning, plan out your day in a way so that you can get successful wins right from the beginning. Small wins building into larger wins, and that'll keep you motivated, which will make it so that you'll really want to learn. You'll keep pushing forward and trying to be better. All of these things, yeah, they're kind of psychological tricks, but hey, why not? If you can trick yourself into enjoying what you do, into enjoying sometimes the pain and the pressure of it, then you're going to enjoy it. It'll be more beneficial to you. And when you enjoy doing something, you typically do it better. So if you can build some of that psychological momentum to help you move forward, that's going to benefit you not just from a learning standpoint. That's going to benefit you all the way through your career. Whether you're going from a junior developer level to mid to a senior to a lead developer. Our lead developers are usually on multiple projects, and so they have to be able to figure out what do they need to do on each of those projects, which one has highest priority right now. Oftentimes they're kind of all the same priority. So this is not something that's just for junior developers. This is something that can help anyone really in any part of your life, but especially in the development world, help you figure out what should I do first, move forward, build up momentum throughout the day so that when you get near the end of your workday, you're not sitting there twiddling your thumbs. You're not sitting there wishing you could just, leave work or just turn off the computer, go do something else, but you still have the high of getting things done. And I would say, go ahead and write them down, put a little checkbox next to it, check them off as you get them done, because that's another visual, right? That's another way for you to see, I got 5 things done on my list today. And you might look at them later and self-evaluate and be like, they were only like really small things, but you got 5 things done, and that's going to build over time. And especially if you use like a notebook or something like this, and you just see over and over and over again, day after day, all these check boxes of things you got done, you can go back and say, I've accomplished a lot of stuff. I'm not just sitting here twiddling my thumbs. And sometimes you need to know what you've done for billing purposes, or you need to know, you need to kind of prove to yourself that you actually did something. I can't tell you how many days I have gone to the end of my day and looked back and said, I don't really know what I worked on. Now, a lot of times it's because I have a lot of meetings. At this level in my life, I just have a lot of meetings, unfortunately. And so it's easy, get to a day where it's full of meetings and it's like, I didn't get anything accomplished today, but I did go to 4 or 5 meetings that day. So I did actually get some things accomplished. I've got notes from all of those meetings that I took that I could go back and take a look at, that I probably need to add a list item for to write notes on. But keeping track of those things helps you look back on your day and say, I was productive. I was able to get something accomplished today. And I think when you don't know where to start, I would always start with the snowball principle. Find the smallest thing on your list and start with that. And I would say the smallest thing should be prioritizing that list. Prioritize that list, find the smallest things, put them in order, smallest to largest, or least amount of time to greatest amount of time, or simplest to hardest. However you want to do that, make that snowball so that you're going from the least things to the greatest things, not necessarily in priority, but in ability to do them, so that you build up some of those quick wins along the way. All right, so I've been talking a lot. Nobody's really asked any questions or anything. If you have a question, or especially if you're new, if you have a question about me, about the Dev Mentor Dave YouTube channel, or again, I'm working on getting a Twitch channel set up and see if we can actually stream to a couple of different places, just to see how that works. I don't know. I've never done it before, so it'll be fun. Again, Saturday at 10 a.m. is our normal live stream. It's a 2-hour live stream. We are, by popular demand, based on the last live stream that we did on Saturday, we are going to be going through a project. We'll be building out a new website that will be React on the front end, probably using Next.js, and it will use a WordPress backend API. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a talk around whether or not you should use WordPress. You should learn WordPress. Obviously, there's some nuances to that answer, so feel free to go take a look at that 2-hour live stream if you want to. But so we're going to go through, as we're going through that, we were talking about the API from WordPress, and everybody that was watching wanted to walk through what that would look like. So we're going to build a small website project starting this next Saturday. And that will be using WordPress, using the WordPress API. We'll probably do some things around adding some custom content and building custom API endpoints within WordPress, and then consuming those endpoints on the front end to give us more flexibility of how we can build a front end website with something like Next and React or Vue or something like that, in order to, but still have something like a WordPress backend that a lot of people are familiar with, that allows them to manage their content but still use more of a modern front end framework. So that's what we'll be doing on Saturday. We'll be back here tomorrow, obviously talking about some of the some other things, random things throughout the day. If you have questions, leave a comment on this video, and I'd be happy to address those as well. But there is a question here from H to the B. That's gonna be hard to say. I'm not hip, man. I don't know what to tell you. All right. What are some tools you use to learn? I need to learn Ansible and Bash scripting. Honestly, YouTube is probably my number one go-to. Excuse me, I'm dealing with a cold. YouTube is generally my first go-to because I want to get a kind of get a quick win, right? I want to get a quick understanding of the principles. The next thing I would do, depending on what it is, I'm not a whole lot familiar with Ansible, actually. Let me take a look and see what that is. Automation engine for IT automation text. Huh. I have not used it before. I would probably get some basic information on YouTube first. Maybe look at a couple tutorials. And then typically what I would do is I would jump over here to the website, the documentation. I'm trying to change my screen. Here we go. I would probably go over here to the documentation and just start understanding what I can. A lot, if it's good documentation, a lot of times they'll have kind of a walkthrough or a getting started type process. That's one of the things I would look for. I don't necessarily like to do like a full 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour course on YouTube. But there might be some other things. I know one of the things we just rolled out for our developers at the company that I work for is access to Pluralsight. Pluralsight has some smaller modules for learning different things, and I don't know if they have Ansible. I would assume they probably do have Bash scripting, but I typically tend to go to YouTube first, and the reason for that is you can usually find something that is around the length of time you're willing to give, right? So if you want something that's just a couple minutes of explanation, you can probably find something for that. If you want something that's a 3-hour course on it, you can probably find something for that on YouTube as well. So YouTube is generally my first place that I go to when I'm looking for how can I learn this thing. The second thing I try to do is no matter what I'm learning, I want to build something with it, even if it's something silly. And I want to do it based on what I want, not based off of a tutorial, because tutorials are great. They're going to walk you through a process oftentimes of building something, whether, in this case, it's, building an automation, right, with Ansible. So they're going to walk you through how to do that. But I would take a use case that is important to me and try to build that out, or at least get started building that out, because you're always going to learn better when you struggle through trying to figure something else out. Tutorials are great. They're great for giving you the pie in the sky perfect way of understanding and using whatever it is that you're trying to learn. They're a good starter, but what you really need is to struggle, because we always learn better through struggle than we do through ease. So you want to struggle through something. And I found for me, typically that's struggling through building something, even something that I've built before, but something that's for me, that's not just a tutorial thing. It's not a to-do list or a shopping list or, a calculator or, things like that. Of course, those wouldn't be necessarily automation, but hopefully you get the point. The goal is to have something that is important to me to build, even if it's something I've built in other languages with other tools, but it's something that I have to think through the process the way that I want it to work. And that means I'm going to have to struggle through learning how to do that with this specific tool. So that would be my recommendation. I would start with YouTube to get some very foundational basics, maybe a few tutorials under my belt, and then I would jump immediately into trying to build something on my own and trying to understand the documentation. Obviously, you don't try to memorize the documentation. That's why we use documentation. But I always go to the actual documentation. Can you go to ChatGPT and do something like that? Absolutely. You obviously can go to ChatGPT. You can learn stuff through there. But again, that's kind of giving you the answer. And I would rather struggle through finding the right answers because I'm going to remember it better. I'm going to do it better in the future. That's just the way that I tend to learn. So, but my first step is always YouTube. There are lots of different educational resources out there like Udemy or Pluralsight or things like that. Those have their place. I tend to only go to those things if I want a very surface level understanding of something and I'm not going to be using it day to day. If I'm going to use something day to day as part of my job, I want to struggle and grow into it rather than just have some, tutorial knowledge of it. And I think to me, that has always helped me do better with the things that I wanted to learn for the actual job moving forward. And sometimes just having general knowledge of things is great, and that's all you need. And those other options are perfect for that. But I would always encourage anyone to definitely find the hard path, find the struggle path, but one that makes sense in such a way that you're actually trying to build something for real, right? So you're going to run into the bugs that you need to figure out how to fix. You're going to hit a brick wall where your knowledge ends and you need to go learn something new to do that. So, and we'll probably run into some of that on Saturday as we start looking at this WordPress and React front end, because it's been a while since I've done that with WordPress. So it's been probably 8 years or more since I was using the WordPress API. So there might be some things that I don't remember or that have changed since then. So I'm sure we'll be kind of going through some documentation as well as we go through that on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. 10 p.m., 10 a.m. I can't think of times. 10 a.m. Central U.S. time on Saturday. So feel free to join us for that. Always feel free to join us again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Central United States time. We'll be back here doing another 30 minutes or so as we have done today. Feel free to jump in the conversation, share your insights and your questions, and I will do my best to answer those with the knowledge that I have and the experience that I have and anything I can come up with on the fly. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks for jumping in here, H to the B, and I will see whoever else joins us tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central U.S. time. And yep, absolutely. YouTube, documentation, and a smaller starter project. That's exactly right. That's what I would do. So anyway, have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow. And yeah, I need to come up with a good closer for this because it's only been 30 minutes and I'm saying goodbye. That just feels so weird after doing 2 hours on Saturdays. So anyway, have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow and enjoy your journey.